So Gaurav, can you tell me about Quidich's mission and how your technology is impacting the sports broadcasting industry?
Sure. So at Quidich, I think when we've been around the sports industry now for about 5 or 6 years. And when we actually started in cricket, and we started as a special cameras company introducing drones to cricket coverage. But as we got into the ecosystem and as we entered the broadcast ecosystem more and more, we realized that what's actually happening, and we broke it down to the fundamentals, is that the game that's going on the ground and on field, there's a story being told, right? And the broadcast tries to capture that story in the best way they can. And then the millions of people who can't attend the event on ground or on field then watch it back on the broadcast, whether it's on TV or digital channels or however it's consumed. And we realized that the story that was trying to be told on field versus what was being sort of absorbed back at home or in pubs or wherever people saw it, there was a huge gap that could be filled using technology solutions, whether it's tracking, whether it's data, and those are all, in my opinion, just means to uplifting and making the story more enhanced. And that's why we kind of saw the gap, and that's the company we then built from there, where we used our solutions, we used our technology to bridge that gap between the story that's unfolding on field versus what's being told on television.
And what are the key challenges in live sports broadcasting today, and how does Quidich help solve these problems?
Look, so live sport is probably one of the only forms of unscripted, suspense-driven entertainment there's left. So it's challenging to capture the emotion that's happening on field, right? And again, if you break it down to fundamentals, sport really is just emotions of fans coming together at one time, at one place. It's one of the only mediums of consumption that transcends any sort of race, religion, creed, and just brings people from different places, nationalities together to cheer for their team or the individual they support, right? And that emotion to be brought back from what's happening at the stadium to being viewed and absorbed on television is where the challenge lies. You have cameras, you have various technology vendors, you have this whole army of people coming together to put one match up on TV, but you realize that it's so unscripted and you don't know what's going to happen next, and you have to prepare for all of those outcomes, bring all of those technology solutions together to just tell a story that heightens people's emotions. And I think that's the large level fundamental challenge in production of sport.
And cricket has seen a lot of innovation in recent years. How is Quidditch driving that, and what impact are you seeing on the viewing experience?
Sure. So cricket is the sport itself. I think it's important to understand where cricket is in its journey to understand innovation in the sport. And cricket is on a growth pedestal now. It's at a point where franchise cricket is becoming more and more proliferated into how the game is consumed. The number of formats are crunching down into what fans really want to watch. And in that journey, actually, cricket, because it's been not so much in the limelight outside of the few major countries where it's like religion, because it's not been in the limelight so much, the world has tended to not see the amount of innovation that's actually happened in cricket. Just for example, solutions like using technology for decision making. Cricket was one of the first sports to adopt them along with tennis, and we've been sort of using automation and technology to make decision making more fair for a very, very long time now. And the innovation from there on has just grown tremendously. Cricket is a really hard sport to broadcast. It's a 360 sport, so it happens in all directions all the time. And we Tier 1 cricket is broadcast over 40 to 45 cameras. And to bring all of that together and to weave in a story where you can then add data and consequential emotional moments to the broadcast is extremely challenging. And I think from the decision-making technology to the way cricket does replays to where we are right now as a sport where all of this comes together, player tracking, ball tracking, pose tracking, to tell stories across platforms has been tremendous for the sport.
And with that rapid adoption of new technologies, how do you see the role of technology evolving in the broadcast ecosystem in the next few years?
Look, I think the finally all broadcast or all sport, whatever the commercial aspect boils down to one bucket, which is the fan, right? Whether it's brands trying to monetize a sporting event, or whether it's leagues trying to get to sell their media rights to the highest bidder for as much money as possible, or whether it's broadcasters trying to increase their inventory of sports that they bring to their audiences, right? Across the spectrum, everyone's catering to the fan. The more the eyeballs, the larger commercial footprint the sport has. Now, in all of that, what's changing as the world evolves is how fans are consuming sport. It used to be a certain way; it's completely different now, and fandom hence is more and more heterogeneous now. Different sects of fans look for different ways to consume sport. So I think where technology can really play a part is bringing all of those data points from the field. Like I said, I mean, sports is driven by herd emotion, right? So bringing all of the data points from on field to bring it together and then put those data points in various modes of consumption. Today, when we started, it was radio sets and newspapers, to moving to televisions and now to digital platforms, and probably immersive media and immersive content consumption. I think technology will play a huge role in bridging that gap between emotions and storytelling on field, bringing back bite-sized data across the various disciplines in which a sport is sort of. I think across various disciplines in the way a sport just opens up. So tracking players, tracking objects, tracking bodily movements of players, and using that data to just cater to different sorts of fans in the different ways they consume sport. I think that's going to be the largest area, at least on the broadcast side, that technology will play. And then along with that, just the various modes to bring fans closer to the game, whether it's through betting, whether it's through the immersive route of content consumption. There are so many different routes that are now going to open up, and I think that's where the biggest opportunity lies for technology.
And what about league owners? How can they unlock more value in terms of broadcast rights and sponsorship deals?
So I think we're at a very interesting phase now where media rights for tier 1 sport are the highest they've ever been. And I think the challenge that lies ahead for league owners is going to be how to grow the value of these rights. Again, it all boils down to the one simple aspect of fans, right? Should more fans choose to consume your sport, should they choose to engage more, that in turn brings in broadcasters, it in turn brings up more bidders for the rights value. And as we're seeing now, apart from traditional broadcasters, we're seeing now the likes of the internet companies come into sport broadcasting as well. And that's a great avenue for rights holders to then marry their storytelling prowess or the IP of their sport with those newer generation of bidders for these broadcast rights. Where technology will really come in my opinion, is again, how do you engage fans more? What are the various areas that technology can proliferate to bring a fan closer to the action? How do you compete today? Today's sport is not just competing with other sports, and they're competing with many other forms of entertainment, right? Whether it's short form, long form content, the choice is huge. So I think where technology will really come in is to bring the fan closer, is to keep the fan more engaged, and allow league owners in turn to be able to monetize their rights through bringing more eyeballs to their sport year on year.
Okay, and can you share any recent success stories where Quidich has made a significant impact on a sporting event or league?
Sure, I think Quidich's biggest impact so far has come in cricket, and that's around our player tracking solution in cricket, which was fundamentally the way we solved that problem is how the company has grown from there. We came into the sport and saw that in cricket, we talk a lot about batting and bowling, which are two major aspects of the sport. But the third area of the sport, which is fielding, is often neglected, and we don't give it as much importance in terms of visuals or in terms of storytelling. But if you take a step back and you think about it, in cricket, the norm is that a batter should be trying to hit the ball where there aren't any fielders, and a bowler should be bowling in a way that the batter hits to a fielder. So the 9 players who are on 9 or 10 players who are engaged apart from the bowler are always around whom the game functions. And cricket being a 360 sport, the cameras all being pointed towards the pitch inside the stadium, it became, there was no way for viewers and the millions of viewers in India and England and Australia where cricket is consumed the way it is, there was just no way for them to understand these various fielding strategies implemented by teams at all, because no camera could cover all of it in an instance. And this is how cricket broadcast was done for 20, 30 years. And we saw a huge gap that technology can fill in there, which was we used our computer vision technology, we used camera hardware, and we used sort of our integration of software and hardware to bring to the viewers something which we call QT, or Quidich tracker, which tracks the fielders real time during a match and now puts up a graphic or a visualization of a field plot on the broadcast that then just allows everyone at a glance to see where the fielders are. And not just that, it shows you where fielders are moving. It gives you a bit of an insight into a captain's mind of how they're thinking of placing their fielders, and hence a further step into the strategy of cricket teams. And that's just something that didn't exist on the broadcast at all until we built the solution, and today it's become mainstay in every cricket broadcast across the globe. So I think that was a big win that we had a while ago, and it's one of Quidich's sort of most celebratory moments.
Absolutely. And finally, what's next for Quidich?
I think we're at a company where we're still fairly young, and we're at an interesting phase right now where we've built robust solutions for cricket. So while we look to go deeper and try and see what more we can bring to cricket in terms of storytelling, we're looking to expand this stack into other marquee sports as well. We now have offices in London, in Dubai, and we're looking at expanding in both of these regions, taking our technology to multiple sports and basically just aiding the story being told on field versus what fans are viewing on broadcast. And along with that, we're also now experimenting and building into sort of the next generation of sports consumption, in whether it's in the vertical, whether it's using vertical modes of consumption, whether it's using the mobile first as a viewing device rather than the television or a laptop, as well as looking at, okay, what's next on the way fans might engage with sport. So we're looking a lot at the immersive side of things, and we're experimenting and building into that future while consolidating and growing our current core business.
Sounds great. I look forward to hearing what's next.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.